Hello friends, what's up? It's Jaime here. Welcome to the third and final part of my What I Learned as a Screenwriting Major video. If you have not watched part 1 or part 2, they will both be linked down below in the description of this video. And so now, without further ado, let us get into part 3. Next, we have writing the web series. I also took writing the web series the fall semester of my senior year in 2023. And the course description for writing the web series is as follows. So it says, the landscape of short-form online episodic storytelling is surveyed, and each student is required to conceive a short-form episodic series, create the show Bible, and write and produce a pilot webisode for that series. Emphasis is on story structure and telling a story in a non-traditional form. Writing the web series served as an introduction to episodic storytelling with an intro to ABC plot lines by examining them through web series examples that we brought to class and also ones that Dean showed us. Again, I also had Dean for writing the web series, just a lot of Dean in the fall of my senior year, which was great. I love Dean. But so we created pitch decks for our original web series, which we then used to pitch our ideas in class. And throughout the semester, we wrote and revised 3 episodes of our web series. Each episode was about 6 to 8 pages long and had to have a minimum of 3 scenes per episode. And if you wanted to get fancy, you could have B and C storylines going on, but you really just needed an A storyline. And towards the end of the semester, in a similar fashion to Writer Scene Workshop, we had to produce at least 1 episode of our web series, or multiple episodes if time allowed. We created show Bibles for our web series, which outlines key elements of our series, the world, the characters, etc. And we also established a production and post-production timeline to produce our episode or episodes, again, in like a similar fashion to Writer Scene Workshop, but significantly less stressful. Like it was still stressful, but we had more time to work on our web series because the episodes were just shorter. And depending on how you decided to write your episode, how you decided to like structure your web series, they were a bit easier. Not for everybody. I will say not for everybody, but for some people, including me, they were a bit easier to produce because they didn't require so many moving parts to put them together. I really enjoyed writing the web series. It was a really fun class. I also think I got really lucky in terms of like the people I had it with, because we just were it was a really fun group. In terms of what I learned, I feel like it was a good intro course to web series and episodic storytelling and ABC plot lines. But I also feel like as an upper level course, as an upper level elective, we should have learned more about short form and online storytelling formats. And in the course description, it says like talking about like non-traditional storytelling. And I feel like what we did was still pretty traditional. So I feel like if we could have expanded on that, I think that would have been really cool. I think that it's cool that this course gives us the opportunity to produce our work, and it's not as intense as Writer Scene Workshop, but I do think that there is room for this course to go beyond just the basics of web series and again to explore more current storytelling formats that are more like non-traditional. Next, we have Senior Colloquium. I took Senior Colloquium this past semester, and the course description is as follows. So it says, during the solitary pursuit of writing their first full-length play or screenplay, or a couple episodes of an episodic project, students come together regularly to share in-progress work for feedback and critique. A completion schedule is created and assignments are given to aid the script writing discovery process. Classes are also devoted to visiting professionals who relate their experiences in the business of being a playwright or screenwriter. I thought about doing that again, but I'm tired. What you get is what you get. I'm sorry that these takes may not be perfect. I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. Senior Colloquium isn't really a class. The only reason why I'm including it in this video is because it is technically a course that you register for, just like any of these classes, and it is listed as a course like when you go to the playwriting and screenwriting like major and you click on the courses on the purchase website. That's literally the only reason why I'm including it. So in senior colloquium, you get broken up into groups of 5, I think like 5 or 6, where you read the senior projects of the other members in your group. You attend each other's senior project readings, which are essentially informal cold readings. And after the readings, whoever's script was read sends 10 questions to everyone else in the group to get feedback. You really only meet with your group for these readings, and you only meet with Eric, the professor, once at the beginning of the semester, and then once again before your senior project reading to go over your questions. So it's really best to think of senior colloquium as a senior project and graduation requirement and less of like an actual class, because despite what the course description suggests, we didn't have like regular class meetings or visits from any industry professionals. Senior colloquium was fine. Eric was nice. I feel like I don't really have a full opinion of him because I never had him for a real class, but he was nice when I met him. Again, there's not so much like learning happening in senior colloquium, but you do get specific feedback from your group members because you're allowed to ask them specific questions about your project, which I personally found really useful. Last but certainly not least, we have the TV writers room. I took the TV writers room this past semester, and the course description is as follows. So it says, students experience the real-world model of collaboratively writing a television series in a writer's room. With the instruction as showrunner, the class creates a half-hour series and together writes a pilot episode. Each student then writes an episode for the series. Episodic story structure weaving multiple storylines, the tradition of television series, and newly emerging variations are covered. If you actually want to learn about television and episodic structure, episodic writing, and you're at SUNY Purchase, take this class, not writing for television, or take Intro to Television Writing. The reason why I haven't talked about Intro to Television Writing is because I actually did not take it. The course was added when I had already met my lower level credit requirements to graduate, so I never took it. But that class and TV Writers Room are both taught by Bo, who is my senior project advisor, and he is awesome. Bo structured TV Writers Room a bit differently than what the course description describes. He did act as the showrunner. We called him David. That was the name of our imaginary showrunner. And we were all the writers, all collectively working on a series. But instead of creating an original series, we wrote spec scripts for Abbott Elementary. Spec scripts, as we were introduced to them in this class, are original screenplays based on an existing show. You aren't paid to write specs. You write specs to send them to producers or studios or production companies to show that you can match the character voices and tone of the show that you wrote the spec for, which is a good skill to have if you eventually want to join a writer's room for a show. In this class, we wrote 2 team spec scripts as a class, and at the end of the semester, we all wrote our own specs individually or as pairs. Also, at the beginning of the semester, we would use these flashcards that Bo had to practice pitching by coming up with stories based on the flashcard prompts. But eventually, as the workload got busier, we stopped doing those exercises, but they were fun. I actually liked them, and I don't even really like pitching that much, but I liked doing the pitch flashcard stuff. Throughout the semester, we learned about traditional sitcom format, cold opens, tags, ABC plot lines, runners, all that good stuff. We also extensively analyzed Abbott Elementary as a show, its characters, its themes, when the show conforms to traditional sitcom structure and when it breaks away from it. At the beginning of the semester, we were all assigned 2 episodes of Abbott to identify the episode's ABC plots and the general narrative structure of our assigned episodes. And it was my favorite thing to say that I get to watch Abbott Elementary for homework, since it's already one of my favorite shows. When we wrote the team spec scripts, we would map out our A plot, how many scenes featured the A plot, and then we would do the same thing for our B and C plots, and then we would write detailed descriptions of what would happen in each scene so that all of us were on the same page regardless of whether we were writing for the A plot, the B plot, or the C plot. Each of us wrote, I want to say like 3 to 4 scenes for each of the team specs, and then at the end of the semester we informally pitched our ideas for our individual specs, and then we wrote them. Writing the team specs took up the majority of the semester, so by the time we got to writing our individual specs, we only had a few weeks in the semester left. But since this was Bo's first time teaching this class, I already know that he said he was gonna adjust this for future semesters so that it's more balanced. Overall, I really enjoyed this class. I learned so much about television structure. Even though we primarily focused on sitcoms, it was still really helpful. And Bo is a really great teacher. His feedback is on par with JD and Dean's because it's so detailed and thoughtful and thorough, and he's just super supportive. And I also found this class to be a fun challenge because I don't usually write comedy, so I very much recommend it. All right, that is all I have for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I feel drained. This was the biggest video I've ever worked on, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really did my best to sum up like what each of the classes were like, but I already know that I probably left out certain things, that I forgot things. So if you guys have any questions regarding my major or my general college experience, feel free to leave them down below in the comments. Once again, that is all I have for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I upload Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, except when I don't. And I will see you guys in my next video, and I'm gonna go eat dinner. Bye, guys.